the lady herself, Norma Miller, Hippodrome.
There's two sources of dancing. Those of you who dance for a hobby, that's wonderful. Those of you who want to do a performing performance, that becomes a different ball game. You have to dedicate a lot of time, and it's hard work. I would prefer a person to take a long time before they decide they want to do this as a profession. It's the hardest profession in the world. There is no qualms about it. If you're going to be a professional dancer, it's going to take everything that you can muster up together to do a good performance. I mean, we talk about a good performance. Performances are on the quality of an act. You ever heard of an act called The Necklace Brothers? Yes. The quality is what you're looking for. That took years to develop to where they were. Now, if you want to be a professional dancer, that's your goal. You have to be on a par like the Nicholas Brothers. But if you want to be just a routine dancer, which that first group did a wonderful, wonderful routine, you clean that up, and it can really become a great ensemble number. You know what I mean? Now the girly number is cutesy pie. But it's what makes it, it's a girly number, and it's very cute. And if you're going to do a girly number, you're going to have to put the twist back in, because a girly number have to have sexuality. And if you can't just fluff it off, you've got to be a teaser. In our day, we had dancers that did what they called shake dances. That meant the girl shook her tootsie. That was a shake dancer. You have to be of that quality if you're going to do a girly, because you got to sell sex. If you're going to dance and you're a female, you've got to remember, it's your sex appeal that sells it. And you've got to put your sex appeal into it. There's no question about it. That's if you choose to be a professional dancer. And you can go from there. Some of you might want to go to comedy. There are many aspects of show business that you could be in. And swing dancing can be the beginning and the opening door for you to make that decision. But when you make that decision, go for everything you got, because that's what it will take to be a great dancer, great singer, a great comic. It takes it all. So whatever you choose, do it. But if you're going to social dance, keep it swinging, and girls, please put the twist back in the dance. We need your ass shaking.
Norma, let me ask you this. I'm sure you all know Norma appeared in front of a few million people today on the BBC, and that's gone all over the world. Lots of people have watched it already.
Thank you.
And all the BBC staff were amazed. I heard them say to you, surely you're only 62. And they're asking about your longevity and what your secret was. Do you want to share with the dance community here?
Yeah, I told them to be careful and just don't get hit by a Mack truck.
That's what she told them. Watch out for Mack trucks, she said.
Listen, but when I wake up every morning, I'm as surprised as you are. Okay, I got another shot at it. You know. I want to stay here as long as I can. My goal right now is to reach 100, because maybe I'll be out of debt. But listen, it's wonderful to be alive. It's wonderful to see after all these years, this dance is continuing just the way we dance at the Savoy Ballroom. You're the same, you're doing the same thing, the same steps, and I think that's a gas. Are they the great-grandchildren?
Great.
They're the great-grand. You're doing what we did. We did this in 1935, when we had our first major contest. So this is now 80 years later, and you're doing the same steps. As a matter of fact, if I see that Big Apple one more time, I'm going to hit somebody. It's wonderful. We must have done something that you like. And today you have the same music that we had, because today you got these cell phones, you got computers, you got the beat. Remember, got to have the beat. Do they do the shim sham?
Yeah, I'm just pretty sure we'll do the shim sham later. For
We're
sure.
gonna do it later.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
later. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure.
I know. As soon as we're finished with you, I think we could do the shim sham.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll meet you on the shim sham.
I'd like to ask you a question, and this is about partners. Who was your favourite partner to dance with?
Socially, Frankie. I never danced with anybody but Frankie. You know, we just had, I was a person that I didn't have to do nothing when I danced with Frankie. He was so perfect. He had such a perfect rhythm. But we never danced together so professionally. Oh, I wouldn't dance with Frankie professionally. You know what happens when Frankie hears music? I mean, and if he does a swing out, the broad, when he throws a broad, he throws it from here, she's over there by that exit. So I can't fly like that. He had a dancing partner that he could take and just throw her anywhere. But he had that kind of power. But dancing socially, Frankie Manning was my favorite dancer. I love dancing with Frankie. And since Frankie passed, I've never danced again. Because, listen, you're still dancing I saw you dancing on the floor.
Yeah, I see that.
Well, listen, I've had my share and had the best of it. No, I couldn't. I don't feel dancing with somebody like I danced with Frankie, so I just never danced again. But I still work and watch you and tell you to continue doing what you're doing. But you'll find somebody that you will love like I loved Frankie. I loved him for what he meant, what he did, and adore him because he was so dedicated. There was a time we couldn't get a job. I mean, we were the greatest act in the world. When the war came, they tore our act apart. And when Frankie was 75 years old, he came back and began teaching at 75 years old. And today, you are the results of what he did. And when I go around the world, I see Frankie Manning, and I'm so thrilled to be a great friend of his. And he gave me his son, Chaz. I still got my Chaz. And Chaz has become like my second arm. He represents to me what Frankie used to represent to Whitey. And now that I don't have Frankie, I'm now continuing to work with those people who are going to make the next step, which is, you know, we're working on the Broadway show to bring the world's greatest dancers to Broadway. And I'm hoping that Miss Jenny here will be one of the assistants that will be helping me to do that job. But you're wonderful, Jenny. She's such a good dancer, and she's a good teacher. She's
Norma, can I ask you a question? Because fortunately Jenny told me the same story and you told me the same story about your teaching at Camp Savoy, and that was the end of your teaching?
Do you remember?
Ryan came to me and said, Norma, we would rather you not teach.
We had so many complaints. Because Norma was like kicking people out of the class. She said, you can't do this, you can't do that, get out of my class. We were like, oh dear.
I'm not a good teacher, I'm sorry.
I just like working with professionals.
Yeah.
I just like working with professionals.
If you're not ready, please, don't come to me and ask me anything. I tell all dancers, learn everything you can know from every teacher you know. Now you can come to me, because when you sit up in front of me, I'll say to you, all right, give me 2 swing outs and give me an 8-bar break. That's what you got to do first. And if you don't know what I'm saying.
I'm going to actually tell you a very quick story, because when you were in Vegas, we visited you. We called Norma in the morning. We always called Chaz and Norma to meet up with them. And she said, come on over. I'm at such and such a hotel. I can't remember what one it was.
Yeah.
And she said, I want to see you. Okay. So we get a cab, we go over to the hotel. She said, right, TV show, 5 minutes. Like, huh? She said, I'm filming a TV show now. She said, 2 swing outs, mini circle, skip up, da, da, this chorus, da. Ready, Mariah? You're going to do this. We're like, huh? Huh? And literally, we did a live TV show there and then. She said, that's why I just work with professionals. Do you remember that? Yeah. That was like the strangest.
Well, it's only the professional. Like, well, you take when we have to do a show, we don't have the liberty of having a rehearsal time.
No.
So you have to come prepared. So when we say that you're gonna have you got a 2 chorus, you got such and such a song, and you got to be able to fit what you're doing in that time. And when we put together the Frankie 100, Chester had 2 days, just 2 days. So everybody who came knew what they had to do. There was no, see, we don't have the luxury of the per diem and the 2 days the rehearsal time and you don't have that anymore. Now you've got to come with it, and you got to be ready to do it. But that's what makes a great dancer today. He's able to do it. And we hope we can use that and go to the next level, because dancing does not benefit anymore, because dancers don't bring money to the box office. And if you don't bring money to the box office, you're not going to be there. So I've got to show that we could bring money to the box office and put on a performance that it could sustain. And that's what the next level that we're trying to do now.
So every Lindy Hopper has to go to New York to see the show.
Right, exactly.
Yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Norma, tell us about your travels. You're 95,
Yeah,
and most people we know at 95 are not travelling as much as you.
I know.
So what have you got on this year, and how do you do it?
Well, I do it because I'm continually looking for the best there is in the dance world, the best there is. And everywhere I go, I search out for those people I think can make that step up. And so like right now, I'm leaving from Munich, I'll be working with Marcus and Bobble. And of course, they're the top of the German line. And then everywhere I go, we pick out the dancer that we feel can do the job and do it on the spot, because there's no way of preparing. You have already, what you're doing is you have already prepared. In other words, like the routine you guys did, what do you call the group? The Rat Pack?
Yeah, like a rat pack, but they're the brats.
Okay, well, you would say that you want to take that and bring in and audition it. That means you prepare it, you put it together, so that when you get a time to show it in front of the masters of the dance, you are ready to be able to take the next step. But you've got to do all the preparation before you come. Don't come unprepared. Come ready, so that there can be no issues about it. Like if you want to hire a team like the Nicholas brothers, when they come, there's no issue. They can tell you, that first chorus will tell you. Like at the Apollo, there's an act called the Berry Brothers, which is a very famous black act in America. But at the Apollo Theater, here came 3 white guys, the Berry Brothers. The Berry Brothers, 3 white guys. But they came doing the same routine that the Berry Brothers did, and at the Apollo Theater. And I sat there, I said, boy, y'all got nerve. But they did it, yeah, they did it. Yeah.
This is a harder topic, of course, Norma. Tell us your feelings about and why the Rosalind Ballroom and the Cotton Club and what all happened and how that made you
Well,
feel.
we couldn't go there. The only place we could go that belonged to us was the Savoy Ballroom. 2 blocks up was a place called the Cotton Club. You could, if you were white, you could go in. If you were black, you could perform, but you couldn't go in the front door. That was the way Harlem was. And it was a place, another restaurant called Child's on 125th Street and Lenox Avenue. In the heart of Harlem, we couldn't go into that restaurant. So these are the things that we had to change, and we set about and we changed it.
Because I read in your book that Harlem was owned by the white people at night. What does that mean?
Well, you know the song, that's why the ladies are tramp. She go to Harlem and Irvington first. That was no BS. That was
real.
That was real, yeah. And in the daytime it was black. In the nighttime it belonged to you whiteys. You whiteys take over every goddamn thing. Anyway, that was the way it was. But it was white people who brought money to Harlem. They could spend the money for the place and all like that. But the Roseland Ballroom was a ballroom in Midtown Manhattan. We couldn't go to that ballroom. 70 years later, on Frankie Manning's 80th birthday, was his 85th birthday, they gave him, he put his shoes in the window. I wouldn't give him my damn shoes. I was still
Still
mad.
holding the grudge, huh? Fair enough, Tim. Norma, tell us, in your book you talk a lot about your mum and rent parties, because tell us what a rent party is and how that worked, because that was an early...
House rent parties was where people could make enough money to pay the rent. My mother was a widow with two small children, and no skill, so you had to find a way, how could you make this money so that when the man came to collect the rent, you can pay the rent. And I was the star of the house rent parties. I used to dance my Charleston, and I got paid with ice cream. I loved ice cream. So I was the star. That was a house rent. My mother was a widow. My father died the month before I was born. So there my mother was a widow, 2 small children, no skill, a foreigner. She was an immigrant, and she had to find a way to support us and put food on the table. And I used to say to my mother, how did you do it? I mean, how? She said to me, her words was, when you ain't got a horse, you ride a cow.
And talking about that, you were, in your book, you also mentioned your nails.
My nails are a tribute to my mother.
Yeah.
My mother used to say, she's doing laundry so I can have my fingernails.
And that's why you
And
always wear your
I
nails.
always had fingernails. It's a tribute to my mother. Because my mother pushed me into dancing. She knew you didn't have any outlets for black girls when I was a youngster. There was no outlet. You either had to be a teacher, a nurse, or a seamstress, or a laundress. There was no secretarial jobs. None of that was for black girls. My mother realized I could dance. And I did every amateur night throughout every theater in Harlem. But that was how I continued dancing, and my mother always saw to it I was not going to work in a laundry. So that's how I have fingernails. I never had to do the laundry. Yeah.
Norma, on behalf of London, the entire scene, and it's lovely, there's a whole range of people here from different places around London, we would like to thank you for being part of our night, and it's such an honour for us to have you in our presence, and you are royalty.
Thank you
And
so
let's
much.
give Norma Miller an incredible round of applause.